This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Cabo Jim Schaller.
Welcome, Good Neighbors, episode number 202 of the Good Neighbor Podcast Estero. Today we have Good Neighbor Julie Hill from Integrated Wellbeing. Welcome, Julie.
Hi, Jim. Thank you so much for having me today.
Yes, pleasure to have you on and get to know a little bit about what you do. So let's jump right in, and why don't you share a little bit about what you do over at Integrated Wellbeing?
Certainly. So my background, I'm a registered dietitian and I'm certified in functional medicine. So our private practice operates to help people to gain control of their health and resolve chronic symptoms.
Wow, interesting. So how did you get involved in all this?
Well, that goes way back. My background, I actually started off in the medical in the medical world, right? So kind of going doctor to doctor myself as a child, and went, to all of the really good physicians. They really did care. They tried to help me. And by the time I was 17, I was on 17 medications and I had no diagnosis. And when I was transitioning from pediatric into adult, I really had the personal question of, what else is there? What other options are there that might help me beyond the medical field? And it seemed that while the doctors really cared, there still were those final answers that would really help me. And so I started my own research and my own investigation on really looking into diet, lifestyle, supplements, and really dove into the medical research and started teaching myself about different things like food and supplements myself. And I was originally in a culinary arts program, so I am a chef, and I ended up transitioning into the dietitian program to continue my education in nutrition and further my own knowledge and education to actually help heal myself.
Wow. I talk about challenges, but it sounds like you had a challenging path to get where you wanted to be. But as far as maybe converting that into a business, were there challenges also associated with that?
So great question. I really felt that at that point, young, teenager, young 20-year-old, I really felt that as I started to make changes, I started feeling better and felt that I had more control over my health. And really that transitioned into me wanting to be able to help more people and really offer this as a service, because I felt that if I was able to help myself, then I would be able to help other people.
Absolutely. And it starts with yourself, like anything. It starts within, and then you can expand it and help additional people. So obviously there's a lot going on with that you took it into your own hands to, figure this out and share it with other people. Can we maybe clear up maybe some myths or misconceptions for our listeners surrounding what you do?
Certainly. So when we're talking about the word functional medicine, I think that's a little bit of a newer term that's out there. I think it's starting to gain a little bit more speed in the industry and in our consumer network as well. And a lot of times when we think of finding the root cause, that's really what we say in this area is really identifying what is the actual problem instead of band-aiding it from the top down. We're diving in and really unshoveling or digging, unveiling all of the problems and then addressing the cause from there. And then looking at the rest of the body and identifying the areas that might have a deficiency or might have gotten kind of in the domino effect of issues, get those cleared up so that there's full resolution to the actual problem or the symptom. And this can go from a chronic symptom to a chronic diagnosis. So it's really one of those things that we can really unveil a lot of answers by looking beyond the actual symptoms and looking at what's called the pathophysiology of how the body produces different symptoms. So a lot of times when people hear that I'm a dietitian, they think, oh, the food police, she's going to tell me, don't eat this. And really in the functional medicine world, it's more so looking at what is the actual problem, and then identifying what are the solutions. And in my practice, really, I like to focus on advancing the diet, really advancing to get more nutrition into their diet naturally. And a lot of times when we get into a restrictive diet pattern, we actually are losing the things that are required in order for our body to heal. So a lot of times I actually find a lot of my clients are on a very restrictive diet that may or may not be helping them. And so oftentimes once we find that root cause, I am working really diligently to open their diet back up. So a lot of times it has nothing to do with restriction, but actually the right recommendations that then go into that healing process.
Absolutely. I'm glad you kind of mentioned, I have some friends that have done some of that stuff where it's very restrictive on what they eat, and it seems like they're always getting sick all the time. I'm like, isn't that supposed to be making you feel better and and healthier? But they seem to be the ones that are, are having the issues. So speaking on the industry, are there certain things that are maybe trending now that we could share with our listeners?
Wow, there's a lot of trends there.
Yeah, right.
And it kind of goes from what I call either end. So we have a large following in the plant-based community looking at more of a vegan lifestyle that takes away animal products, oils, things like that. And then we have the direct opposite looking at keto, carnivore, and then everything in between. So I kind of call the middle ground our Mediterranean style diet. And then on the outliers, again, vegan or carnivore or keto. And the interesting thing from my perspective with these concepts that are out there is that there is no one size fits all. And a lot of times we oftentimes have to look at that individual and say, what is really going to work for you? What's going to work for your family? And what is going to be a long-term result or a long-term opportunity for you to really make sure that this is something that you're going to continue with, and it's not just a fad diet.
Absolutely. So being in Southwest Florida, are you from here originally?
I've been down here for about 10 years.
Okay. Where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Michigan.
Wow. The mitten. What
The Mitten
what part
State.
of the globe?
Yes. Yes. I
Right.
am right there.
There you go. Very nice. Very nice. Obviously, we like the weather down here much better. I'm from Wisconsin originally, so I got out of there as quickly as possible. I go back and visit in the summer, not so much in the winter, but
Yep.
outside of work, I know owning your own business can be very demanding, but are there certain things you enjoy doing?
Absolutely. I am an avid traveler and I really love adventures. So anything that has to do with being outside. So again, being down in Florida, that really lends a lot of outdoor time for me. And I really enjoy different sports and then also just being outside in nature. So going on different trips, whether it be water or going to find a park or some of the other nature preserves that are local here. And then I do quite a bit of extensive traveling as well.
Very nice. And that's what it's all about, experiencing new places and getting out and enjoying nature. And that's why we live down here. We don't miss shoveling snow, but we do love going to the beach. So
That's right. That's right.
we'll take it. So is there one thing maybe that our listeners should know about what you do that maybe they're not aware of?
That's a great question. So oftentimes when we think about a functional medicine approach or a dietitian who's certified in functional medicine, a lot of times we're not really aware of the depth of how I could help somebody. And so really one of the reasons I opened my practice was so that I wasn't kind of under the foot of somebody or under their thumb, so to speak. And if I have a resource that is helpful for somebody, I want to be able to give it to that person. And a lot of times what I end up doing in my clinic is there may be a situation where somebody is under a lot of stress or, a family member is, hurt or injured or, going through a lot of medical things or there's so many different scenarios that can happen. And oftentimes what I say is, eating a salad might not help you in that situation, right? So I want to make sure that I can provide resources and be that provider of really identifying what would be helpful to this person in this moment that then would allow them to have their lifestyle back and gain control of their lifestyle again, so that then they can have that piece back, and also be able to navigate their health in a healthy way, right? So we oftentimes will pick up, unhealthy habits when stress really, really hits hard. And it's difficult for us to maybe get back into some of those healthy habits. Sometimes life changes or different things change. We might need to take care of a loved one, and that might take a lot of time away from our personal health. And so a lot of times I like to be the resource or the source to come to as far as helping people to navigate to where it might be helping them the most at that time. A lot of times, again, stress can infiltrate our life, and then we have the excuse train of, I don't have time, I didn't have this, I didn't do that, oh well, tomorrow. And I really like to look at it as, okay, but how do we get back, right? How do we get back to that level of, whether it's getting back into the gym or prepping our own food, or just following those healthy habits, even going to bed on time. Those are some things that we really need to look at as far as lifestyle. And a lot of times, sometimes my clients will say, oh, I had no idea that that you had all these resources, or that we could talk about stress today. I thought we were just going to talk about my diet. So it goes way beyond diet.
Absolutely. And nowadays, everybody's so constrained for time. You mentioned going back, people get lazy, but when you're crunched for time, you're going to go to that comfort food or easy food. You're not going to go to what's probably best for you. You're going to go what's available or accessible. And it makes a difference. When you eat healthy, obviously you feel better, but the important thing is putting that, I think, as you mentioned, making that a priority for you, and making sure you are eating the right things. And I'd love that. How would our listeners go about contacting you if they wanted to learn a little bit more?
Oh, certainly. So we have some social media, so Facebook and Instagram, and then that is Integrated Wellbeing, LLC. And then we also have our website, integrated-wellbeing.com. And then I also offer a free 15-minute call to anybody. So whether we're looking for, again, those referrals, or just finding out more about the services, how I could help you, our phone number directly is area code 239-220-0288.
Perfect. Any last words for our listeners?
I personally just really love being that navigator. So I really do enjoy talking with people, and we can also service the state of Florida. So that's another thing. My services are virtual, so it's very nice to be able to pick up the phone or jump on a video call and be able to get the services needed or necessary in order to support your life.
Very good. Julie, it's been a pleasure getting to know you. Thank you for being such a good neighbor, and I hope to see you out in the community soon.
Oh, Jim, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate being here today.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Estero. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpestero.com. That's gnpestero.com, or call 239-296-2621.